Today, I will be discussing the 5 purposes of punishment. Number 1, rehabilitation. Number 2, restitution. Number 3, incapacitation. Number 4, deterrence. And number 5, retribution.
That's how you.
The first form of punishment is rehabilitation. Rehabilitation seeks to threaten and reform the lawbreaker. Advocates of this theory believe that the prison or release program should try and turn the wrongdoer into a productive member of society, saying as a person who commits a crime, they want to take that person, imprison them for a short amount of time, and reinvent them and direct that person into a good life, a better life, into making better choices and decisions, which is basically turning it from good to bad and from wrong to right. The way prisons and programs do this is by providing them programs so that they get used to things that can actually help them, such as job training, physiological counseling, and education programs. The second form of punishment is restitution. It basically seeks repayment. The offender repays the victim or community in money or services. Critics say money and services cannot repay for the harm caused by violent crimes. I understand that, but when someone does something as bad as vandalism, the best thing to do is have them repay it by cleaning that off and making it better and fixing their mistakes and problems. The third form of punishment is incapacitation. It seeks to isolate a criminal from society to protect ordinary citizens. In that case, this is where the term imprisonment come in hand, and that's where criminals are isolated in prison or jail, keeping them away from harming any more innocent people. What this does is, it basically takes the criminals who like to repeat their actions and imprisons them just so they don't repeat those again and harming anyone in their doing. The fourth purpose of punishment is deterrence. Deterrence is what seeks to prevent further crimes. Deterrence is used when law enforcement wants to regenerate harsh memories or punishments from the past, and now that hopefully messes with the criminal's minds, keeping him from committing the crime again. And it basically is a scare tactic, making sure that they realize how horrible what they're doing is, if the consequence is of the crime they're committing. Okay, so in your opinion of all of these, what would you prefer, or like, what is the case in picking one of those?
To isolate the criminal, depending on their crime.
Why that?
Say that they murdered someone who shouldn't walk throughout the world. You know?
Okay, so how do you feel like restitution, which is getting revenge on that person? So basically, it kind of like the death penalty. If you kill someone, then you get killed, which is an eye for an eye, basically, from that Greek term. How do you feel about that? Or more of the person of like a rehabilitation, making that person into a better person?
You could do that, but if it doesn't work, then
Obviously, you gotta go to the second option, right?
exactly. So, but the
Retribution?
there we go, the retribution.
Retribution, okay.
That all depends on how serious the crime was.
Alright, thank you. Okay, so Mitch Ford, how do you feel about restitution?
I feel that if someone commits a crime, they must pay for that crime and pay for the damages.
So, say I were to do something bad as killing a little girl. Would you think I'd have to be killed in a death sentence, or?
Yeah.
That's how you feel.
Yeah, that's how
Well,
I
that's
feel.
an opinion, so that's good. Thank you. So as you can see, Mitchell Ford, a former Law Society class student, has his own opinion about how someone should take their punishment when committing a crime as serious as killing another person. Okay, guys, so out of the 5 purposes of punishment, which is deterrence, retribution, restitution, incapacitation, and rehabilitation, which one would you guys argue to prefer?
I think incapacitation, because it removes the criminal from society and prevents them from committing another crime.
And then what happens when they come back?
I mean, if they do a bad enough crime, they won't come back, or they could be executed.
That's true. I mean, I feel like rehabilitation is a good one because it changes their mindset. I mean, they might have had like
But some
post-traumatic stress or something, and they
Some
might
people's
have had.
mindset can't be changed. It's just
I mean,
how
that
they
is
are.
true, but I mean, it could help change most.
I mean, it's true for some people, but
Yeah. I'm just saying, if someone has had a bad past, they grew up in poverty, grew up around gangs. I mean,
yeah, but
you
that's
could-
all they'll know. They're not gonna change
I
overnight.
no, you could.
Okay, and Nick, how would you get into this? What would you prefer?
I think restitution's the best. I mean, it's best for like the smaller kind of crimes, because I mean, it pays their dues back to society. They pay back what they did, although it doesn't really do too much. I mean, at least they're paying back to society.
All right, thank you guys. Out of all the 5 purposes of punishment, I think the most effective one is incapacitation, only because the reason is, in case someone does a crime that is so bad, they should pay for it, every single minute of it. And trying to get them in and then rehabilitating them to get them back out, they can easily do it again. So the only way to do that and stop them is by keeping them in jail and making them sit there and pay for all the time they did. The way incapacitation works is that it isolates someone from doing that crime again. That's the term, imprisonment. You do a crime, you go to trial, you plead guilty, you go to jail, and you have to pay for it. And you sit there, and it's basically living in hell for the amount of time you get. And I think, depending on what the crime you did, or even any crime that's bad or against the law, you should pay for every second of it, and basically live in hell for that amount of time. Overall, incapacitation gets the job done, and it isolates all the criminals, making sure they never do a crime again.